let's talk about the GCSE AQA English language papers. So, in your English language paper 1 and 2, you will have an insert and you will have a question paper. So you'll have 2 papers in total. One will give you the text, one you will answer the questions on. Now, the first point that you need to understand is that if you do not answer all the questions, you will have no chance in actually getting full marks. One of my students who was getting a 0 got a 5 in her mock just simply because she made sure she answered all the questions. I'd barely been teaching her for any time, but I said, finish all those questions. That is your first aim. Doesn't matter that you've done really badly the last year, the last 2 years, does not matter. The first thing you are going to do, the thing you are going to absolutely make sure you do is finish the papers in your mock. And when it comes to the real exam, you absolutely must finish the papers. How do you make sure you finish the papers? Well, we make sure we have the timings right for our essay so you can divide your time between the different sections, that you make sure you have enough time to answer all the questions. So your English language papers are the same setup actually. So let's have a look. So I have an example paper here for an English language paper 2. So this is the writer's viewpoints and perspectives. And I just downloaded it off the AQA website. So as you can see, the time allowed is 1 hour and 45 minutes. You have 5 questions to complete and you have a section A and a section B. So down here in the bottom, you can see that section A is 40 marks, section B is also 40 marks. Now, for the different sections, you have 4 questions for section A and you have one question for section B. So how do you divide your time to make sure that you actually use it effectively? Let us have a look. So we know that the total time of the exam is 1 hour and 45 minutes. That's 1 hour and 5 minutes in total. Section A, 40 marks. So, and section B is 40 marks. So because the exam is equal marks-wise, divide your time equally in half. That is one of the best pieces of advice I can give you. Now, some teachers say you should give more time to section B. Well, actually, because their marks are the same, it doesn't make sense in my mind to give one section more time than the other. So, 105 minutes. So I say give 50 minutes to section A, give 50 minutes to section B. Now, why? Where did the other 5 minutes go? Well, you aren't given reading time. You have to start your exam straight away. So let's have a look at how we set up our exam. So let's look at this again. So when we go into the exam, the first 5 minutes you should read the paper. That is so important. Because you're doing English language, because it's comprehension, you are going to have to read some texts. Now, taking exams is not just knowing the material, it is also knowing how to take the exam. That's really, really important. So the first 5 minutes, you scan the entire paper. So read the questions first, know what they're going to be asking you, and then go and look at the insert and then read the material. Because if you know what the question paper is asking you, you could then mark on your insert when you find the information that you can use for a question. When you come back to it, it's going to be much easier to find that information rather than reading the insert and not knowing what questions you're being asked. Next, section A, 50 minutes. Section B. Now, I do organise this a little bit more because you're going to have to write a longer piece of writing. It's not individual questions. So you need to give yourself in total 10 minutes to brainstorm or plan what you're going to write. Now, the reason you do this is so that when you start writing, you don't get stuck, and also so you can organise the information in something that's actually worth reading. Make sure of those 50 minutes, you spend 10 minutes, 5 minutes brainstorming, 5 minutes planning, so you know what you're actually going to write. And then you might write something that actually is worth some marks. If you get stuck on your exam and you are finding it really difficult to answer the questions, at the 50-minute mark, you must stop the section you are working on and move on to the next one. You must complete the paper. You must have something in each box because you need to give yourself the best chance of getting as many marks as possible. The examiner cannot mark you if you've written nothing. So make sure you finish the paper. Organise your time. Section A, 50 minutes. Section B, 50 minutes. Leave 10 minutes for planning and brainstorming. Make sure the first thing you do when you go into your exam is 5 minutes surveying the question paper. Read the questions and then go to the insert paper. Make sure you watch the clock so that you can time yourself. There will be a clock in your exam room. Or you can ask your invigilator to give you a 50-minute, your halfway point notice